It's only taken us a year and a half of begging, but we've finally managed to get a Neo on our channel. I think we've got the best looking one. The question is this car as good as it looks? This is the Neo ET5. Yes, this is the Neo ET5, the smallest car in the Neo range, but in my opinion, the most attractive one. This car, along with its brother, the ET5 Touring, don't half cut a groove on the road, especially in this yellow colour that is somehow both loud and understated at the same time. I like that a lot. But of course, it is a Neo through and through. You can see all the Neo design features here. We've got a kind of a gentle shark nose here at the front, kind of quite sharp splitter down at the bottom there. We've got quite flared front arches here, which help it to look more like a sports car, more of a flat bonnet with the flared arches mixed there. We've got blade-like daytime running lights here, headlamps lower down with air vents that go around the wheel. As you come down the side, they do keep things very, very simple. That is a Neo trait, actually. Neos don't shout, they tend to whisper, in my opinion. So here we don't have much chiseling on the side, only lower down they've cut a groove into the side of the car there to make the hips come in a little bit, just make that body a little bit tighter, a little bit more sexier. Here we've got the optional 20-inch alloys. You get 19 inches standard. They have a few different options. I would say most people probably go for these, and they do look very, very stylish with this two-tone design. You'll notice here we also have Neo-developed 4-pot brake calipers that help this car stop very, very quickly. And it needs to, because it's bloody quick. You'll notice up here on top of the windscreen we have these weird little nodules. What are these? Well, we've got a LiDAR unit in the middle there. These on either side are both cameras, and they support with the Neo NOP autonomous driving system. Wouldn't say they look particularly well integrated, probably the most awkward part of the car actually, but they do serve a purpose, so they have something going for them. Alongside you can see we've got a very sort of sexy sculpted sideline. The proportions are really nice on this. I think the window to door ratio is really quite attractive, and I do like the way this design blends into the rear here, because this is my favorite part of the ET5. I absolutely love the way the back of this car looks. In my eyes, one of the tidiest rear ends on the market. Really, really love it. Got really sharp sort of chiseling there, dynamic across the bottom. We've got a full width daytime running light there, cuts really far into the side of the car. So a little bit thinner in the top here, a bit fatter on the sides, adds a bit of extra depth to it. And then of course you've got these big chunky haunches with this sexy little ducktail on the end there. Really, really very stylish, combined as well, of course, with that really large diffuser at the bottom there. Looks very, very sporty. If I waggle my foot around under here, I should be able to open the trunk. There we go. Don't have any figures for how large this is. They're not saying, but I would say it's actually quite large. I think it's bigger than it is on the ET7. Decent sized opening here. And then we've got quite a lot of space in there. You can also fold the rear seats down 60-40, and we get a little bit of extra space here just under the boot floor. So not a bad trunk that actually. I mean, yes, would it have been nice to have been a hatch? Possibly, but well, certainly for visibility purposes, but I'll tell you about that later. But on the whole, that's not a bad trunk. You can definitely get a few big suitcases in there, no problem. So yeah, the design, really, really cutting edge on the outside. Love it. That elegant simplicity on the outside really translates to a lovely interior in here. It's a very pleasant place to be. You've got a really interesting selection of materials as well, some very nice design features, so I'm going to try and walk you around those. We do have artificial leather up here on the upper surfaces. That's made from recycled plastic bottles, but does still feel quite pleasant anyway. Mixed with this sort of cream colour, we also get a sort of a soft gold metallic furnishing there, and then we get a fabric on the lower surfaces, which is a really nice sort of warm fabric, again made from recycled plastic bottles. So there's some kind of elements of sustainability going on with the interiors of these cars. That artificial leather you also get on your seats and your steering wheel as well, although you can pay for an optional feature which gives you Napa leather steering wheel and Napa leather chairs. Also this microfiber roof lining you can buy as part of the same package or separate. It's one of several packages actually that Neo offer, because they tend to follow the European model of speccing your car higher rather than including a lot of the things in the car. So we do have to pay for quite a few things on this car. What I do like though is this interior comes in several different colours. Again, things you have to pay for, but they do get matching seat belts to match the different colours. So if you go for green or orange or purple or even pink, you get matching seat belts for those colours, which is really quite cool. We also get on the doors here actually a rubber material, and it's kind of ribbed, which looks quite interesting. In the daytime, it's totally ordinary, but at night time, it comes alive. It's one of the best ambient lighting features in this car because it goes all around the dashboard there and also under the doors as well. Really lights this up, so it looks a bit like a show curtain at night time. Very, very attractive, and you get lighting behind the fabric in the doors as well. Now, the one thing that I really don't like about the interior is the driving position. The driving position, the chair is 12-way adjustable, including 4-way lumbar support. You also get an optional package, again, to have the base cushion extension, which again I like. But the seating position is quite high in this car. It's the first thing you notice. You feel like you're quite high up in the car. This is as low as the seat will go, and I'd really like it to be a little bit lower than this. So that is the biggest problem, I would say, the seating position. On the plus side, you do get very good reach on this steering wheel. It comes out a long way, so you can compensate a little bit for that seating position. But you do get, as I said, quite a good interior. You get yourselves a 10.2-inch screen there, very clear, sort of high-resolution screen. It's got some very nice little features on when you're doing autonomous driving, so you can see the vehicles around you. In the middle, we've got a single screen. Neo not overdoing it on the screens. 12.2-inch screen there, AMOLED, quite bright, obviously quite quick as well. You can flick through there. On your home menu, you've got your maps, you've got loads of apps in there. You do have your slidey ventilation at the bottom again. And if you click on here, you've also got options on this car. Again, options. You get heated front seats as standard on all cars. You can also get an option that gives you heated steering wheel, ventilation and massage on the front chairs, and heating on the back. So, and you can also get a scent function as well. So there's a fragrance vial you can put somewhere to make the car smell quite nice inside. But yeah, again, a lot of the things you've got to pay for on this car. You also get Nomi, of course, on the dashboard, our little companion up there. You can talk to her. She will look at you. So it doesn't matter where you're sitting in the car. If you start talking to her, she'll look at you and she can open your windows and change your sat-nav and change the music and adjust your aircon, things like that. So a bit of a gimmick feature, but I do like her. She does grow on you while she's there. Now, we also get quite a bit of decent space. So we get door pockets, not the widest in the world, but we do get door pockets, of course, space under here. This opens both ways, this center console here. But as I said, a little bit too much shake on that lid for my liking. We get a 40-watt wireless charger, which doesn't have ventilation, so it will warm your phone up a little bit, and there's no way of pointing ventilation at it at least, so try and keep your phone out of the sun if you can. Plus you've got twin cup holders here. We also get large panoramic roof, which filters out 99% of our UV rays, so that's quite good as well. And probably the pièce de résistance, let's say, a 23 speaker sound system with 1000 watts of power and 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos surround sound. So a really good sound system for this elegant and attractive interior. Now, as with the front seats, the back seat also is a little bit compromised on position. This backrest does feel a little bit upright. The base cushion is a bit low, so you don't get full support under here. There's no space under that front chair for your feet if the front seat is on the lowest setting. As you can see, my hair is pretty close to the roof as well. So we are a little bit compressed in the back seat. We do get plenty of knee room, and you know, it's not the most uncomfortable place in the world, but it's just not quite as optimal and comfortable in the back, I would say, as some of the larger cars from Neo. But again, it's a very elegant, lovely place. You get your lovely materials, you get the same ambient lighting strips in the doors and the mix of fabric there. You also get a little bit of door pocket space down there, a USB-C, and you get rear ventilation, but you can't adjust the temperature on that. We also get in here a little armrest with a pair of cup holders in there as well. Get headrests all around. As I mentioned, these seats come down 60-40, and of course we do get the large panoramic roof to get the lighting. Downside of the roof is there's no electronic cover for it, so it can get a little bit warm in here on hot days, even with the UV lights being blocked out. So yeah, slightly compromised, I would say, in the rear, but still a lovely place to be. Now out on the road, the ET5, quite honestly, is a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character. Does some things really, really well, some things not quite so much. Case in point being the ride quality. Front axle, totally fine, no problems with that, rides all the bumps. Rear axle, genuinely feels like it's off a completely different car. It is rock solid, there is no damping in there whatsoever. Whether you're going over small high frequency bumps or larger bumps like speed bumps, everything comes through the rear axle. Not only that, it's also a little bit louder. You get a lot more road noise through the rear axle than you do from elsewhere in the car. It's quite a strange one, really. I mean, the car is set up to be sporty, and it does the sporty part really well. It just means that the damping is, I don't know, almost non-existent on the rear axle. As I said, the sporty side works really well. If you want to throw this car into corners, it is so dependable. I mean, it stays completely horizontal no matter what you do. You can really, really lean on it, and you cannot get any lean out of the car whatsoever. It stays totally flat. It's really, really good. You put it into Sport Plus mode, everything changes. The steering weight's up, becomes a lot more feelsome. Not quite as feelsome as the Hyper GT in terms of that kind of delicate fingertip sensitivity, let's say, but it becomes a lot more weightier and actually sort of, you know, feels a bit more confidence inducing as a result. The steering is very, very good, and it is the performance is ridiculous. It is rabidly quick. We've got a lot of power in this car. It's coming through dual motors, and it will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4 seconds. Honestly, it feels like it does it in a lot less time than that. It's quite brutal in the way that it is delivered. What I'll do is when I cross this bridge here, I'll stop and I'll show you what it looks like when you put it through the axle. Here we go. Ah! It's almost nauseating, actually. If you look in the wrong direction, it can be. It can throw your senses off completely when you accelerate at full speed in this car. It's brutally quick. Feels a lot faster, to be honest, than 4 seconds, more like 3 point something. But I think NIO are maybe being a bit more conservative on their numbers with that. It certainly is incredibly quick. And it's quick because we've got a lot of power. So we have dual motors on the single version of this car that you can get. That is a 150 kilowatt motor on the front axle, 210 kilowatt motor on the rear axle. That's 360 kilowatts in total, and 700 newton meters of torque combined between the two. It's blisteringly fast, and honestly, probably more so than you need. If you put it into eco mode, everything's nice and gentle, the steering's nice and soft, and it will drive like a normal Chinese car, mostly comfort oriented, minus the ride on the rear axle. But put into sport mode, totally different animal. In terms of batteries, of course, NIO have a choice of 3, only 2 of which are currently available. So you've got your 75 kilowatt hour battery, 100 kilowatt hour, and 150. The 75 kilowatt hour battery will do 500 to 560 kilometers of range. I suspect 560 is CLTC, maybe 500 is NEDC or WLTP. And the 100 kilowatt hour battery, so the 75 kilowatt hour battery is standard. The 100 kilowatt hour battery will give you 640 to 710 kilometers of range. Again, probably NEDC and CLTC. And the third battery is 150 kilowatts. I believe it's supposed to be something like semi-solid state or solid state. It's not out yet. In theory, they say that when it's in the car, it should be able to get 1,000 kilometers of range. So it should be quite good and provide a lot of range when it does. But it will make the car a bit heavier, and it'll likely be quite expensive as well. You do pay about 58,000 RMB more to upgrade from the 75 kilowatt hour battery to the other one. Now, of course, in terms of charging, you get 2 choices with NIO. You can charge as normal. They don't give an actual charging speed of the car, but it should be able to do 10 to 80% in just 20 minutes. So it's pretty rapid if you give it the right charger. And of course, the fastest way is simply to switch the battery. So they have the battery swapping ability. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes. The car will drive into there entirely by itself. You do pay for that. It is a subscription service, 980 RMB per month for the small battery, 1,680 for the top edition battery. But it can be a very convenient service. It's quite useful, especially when there's lots of queues for the charging guns at service stations at the national holiday. And they've got over 1,600 stations just in China alone. So you're pretty much covered no matter where you go. It does work really well in practice, the battery swapping. Now, as I said, this car is quite expensive. It starts at 298,000 RMB, and everything from that point is basically an option that can be added. So you can add optional colors, you can add optional alloys, optional interior colors, you can also do your leather, your Nappa leather on your seats, and of course you can also add your autonomous driving functions that we do have. So we get as standard a few things like intelligent cruise control, lane keeping assist, lane centering assist, and lane departure warning, cross assist, doors opening, blah, blah, blah. You can also get the NIO Autonomous Driving System, which is quite unfortunately shortened to NADS. And if you get that, it costs you an extra 680 RMB a month. Again, another subscription service. You get 2 options for that. You get one that will allow you to do some slow speed driving on highways. Sorry, not slow speed drive. You have to do some in the highways, urban routes. It will give you kind of overtake, automatic lane overtake and things like that. There's another option as well for slow speed driving, such as parking, and also you can drive your car remotely with the phone to get it out of parking spaces, things like that. And there's an additional option on top of that called NOP Plus, and that is 380 RMB per month. That one I'm not sure you can use yet because it is, I believe, what they want to do for city driving. Currently, you can't do city driving in a Neo, you can just do the highway autonomous driving, but the city driving is coming, and these cars are pretty well equipped for that, because I'm not sure if this one does, but many of the others come with 4 Orin X chips, which basically gives you 2032 tops of power, of processing power, which is a lot. So I suspect when Neo's system does eventually come online, it's probably going to be quite good. And in terms of dimensions, of course, it is 4.79 meters long, 1.96 meters wide, just under 1.5 meters tall, and has a wheelbase of 2.888 meters. 2 other things that I need to mention, one of which is visibility. That's a compromise. Everywhere else, in front of you, to the side of you, totally fine. Rear view visibility, absolutely non-existent. You'll basically see from the other car's headrest upwards. That's all you'll get to see. On the plus side, it does work very well at night time because it blocks out all of the other cars behind you using their high beam lights. So I might give some credit to Neo there and say they've done a great job for keeping your eyes in one piece. Also, you can get this car with a trailer option, so you get a tow hook on this. I believe it's something like 1.6 or even 2 tons of towing capacity on this car, so it's already made for Europe. If you're going to pull trailers or caravans or whatever, it's got you covered for that side of things. But overall, yeah, it's a really, really engaging car to drive. Yes, the road noise from the rear axle and the ride quality there is probably a bit of a miss. The driving position is slightly compromised, but you do get used to it when you're driving. But honestly, the performance is brutal. The handling is quite astounding. It's an excellently sorted car. Really, really fun to push to the limit. So that's it for our review of the ET5, a stunningly gorgeous car, but one that does come with some compromises. I wouldn't be doing you guys any justice if I glossed over the fact that the rear ride quality is not very good, the driving position's compromised, and the rear passenger space isn't all that. But while the ET5 may get beaten by many others in those areas, it will very unlikely be beaten on performance and handling. This is a car that is rabidly quick, utterly dependable when you want to lean on it into a corner, gives you confidence every step of the way. It's also got a beautiful interior, great materials, looks very, very luxurious and premium in there. And yes, it is an expensive car, but if you want that and this and the battery swappability as well, may just be a price that you have to pay. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and if you do, thank you for subscribing. We'll catch you next time.